Todd, I just want to ask you about this UConn rush defense. Skip talked a little bit yesterday in the coaches' call just about how well they've handled the run and the challenges that presents.
There's two things you notice. A lot of personnel from last year's team's back, so we have a real strong familiarity, from our game last year with them. What's changed with Coach Pasqualoni, they've changed. They're a little bit more dynamic. They're not quite a static defense as they were a year ago. They do a really good job of getting extra hats. Everybody gets an extra hat in the box, so to speak, to stop your run game, but they do it kind of in a little bit more unorthodox fashion. And they're big and strong up front. Reyes, the D tackle, is probably what I've seen the best D lineman in our conference right now. He's a very, very good player. So they're physical up front. They're doing a lot with the back end and with the linebacker level to create extra hats. And they've been very successful, obviously, stopping run games.
Todd, the way the last two teams have been able to throw the ball on them, when you see that, is it encouraging for you, or do you feel like that's probably what they're spending the most time addressing right now?
Well, I'm sure they're trying to work on it. They did a lot of personnel changes for the West Virginia game. They've had an injury back there at one of their corners. It's going to be part of the game. You always want to say what's the strength and weakness of your opponent, how do you attack those issues. So we'll have some things, obviously, to take advantage of where we think their weaknesses are. But to win on the road, to be successful, you have to find some way to run the ball. The West Virginia game is 10-9 at halftime, and they're going in to score and fumble and kind of unraveled on them. But especially on the road, you're going to have to find a way to manage the running game to aid your passing game. And we think that we've got a good plan, and we've been successful. So we've got to play on our strengths also.
How have you guys progressed on offense through practice, teamwork through the past 2 weeks?
Well, that's what you find out Saturday at UConn. But no, I think we've gone back and kind of self-scout ourselves, look at our strengths and weaknesses. And really what coaches have always done a good job of is really try to improve the individual. We're trying to improve fundamentally because that's where it really lies, working on what we think our weaknesses are, and put a lot of time in those 3 or 4 days of physical practices the off week in trying to get our players better individually. And then now it's just the game plan and collectively getting everybody on the same page for what we have to do against Connecticut.
What has been your main focus for the last 2 weeks in practice?
Well, I think we broke down worked a lot on some situations. We took some time in the red zone for the offense and the defense, because we went good on good against each other. Worked, third downs, just things like that, situational football that really, when you look at it, like the last game we played Pitt, you're 6 of 9 in the first half on third down. You come out and you go 0 for 4, 0 for 5 on the first third downs of the second half. That's the tail of the game for us offensively, is why do you score and have successful drives? You stayed alive on third down. So we worked those situations and just, always trying to improve, in those critical downs, third down, red zone, put points on the board, things like that.
Todd, this is a homecoming for a lot of you guys on this staff. I just want to see what your best memories are, what you remember most about your time with UConn.
Well, we had, we're all young, and we had a lot of fun. We won a lot of football games, and a lot of the players there, always stay in touch with you. That's where my 2 children were born, actually. So it's kind of your kids don't ever know where they're from, but that's what they claim to be from. But so it'd be fun to go back. A lot of people still work there administratively. They've had a lot of carryover there, so it's fun to see those people. And I have not been in the stadium. They were talking about building that stadium. We were there in the 90s, and so I've never stepped foot in it. And Mr. Burton, who's given a lot of money there, you see his name on the complex. I recruited his son. That's how I got. So I know the Burtons really well, so I'm sure they'll be there. So so that's my claim to fame at Connecticut, probably. But so it'll be fun to see those people and just to go back and see the environment.
With having a bye week, do you see the guys being eager to get back on the field?
Oh yeah. Last week's kind of drudgery for them. It's back to spring ball, so to speak, and there's no game at the end of the weekend. But now back at it Sunday night, come back a little bit more up tempo, pep in our step, so to speak. And I think the guys are looking forward to going back out, and coming back off the last game, and going and playing as well as they can. And against a good opponent on defense, we're going to have our hands full. They do a good job on defense overall, well coached, and I think our guys understand the challenge that they have.
Is that eagerness magnified a little bit more after you had a game like you had at Pitt?
Well, yeah, I think that that's normally the reaction. Yeah, I think so. Probably the thing has changed that we didn't play last Saturday, so that memory hasn't faded, but yet it's not right in the back of your mind. I think that our kids have understood that it's about us. Let's make sure we get better at our weaknesses. But as the coach said to the team, and I said, just talking to some of the coaches, you don't want to ever lose. I mean, that's that's common sense. But if that game helps us down the road, understanding that you have to be focused and do certain things every week to win, especially on the road, then that's a lesson well learned, hopefully. So we're hoping that carries over to this game, and we learn from our mistakes.
USF's had a couple issues going up to UConn, not winning big games. Is that something you guys are aware of, or you're trying to
I'm usually not aware of these things until you tell me, to be honest with you. Because I wasn't here. You know, I wasn't aware about Thursday night. I wasn't aware about we hadn't won at Cincinnati last year. No, you just got to play. You have to play fundamentally sound football. You have to block. You have to tackle. You can't turn the ball over. And that's usually what gets you beat. And if we take care of us, no, Connecticut's had a good football team. Randy Edsel did a good job, and he's been very fundamentally sound. And I wasn't there, but they probably beat us in a turnover margin. They probably tackled better than us. They probably blocked better than us when they beat us there. So it's not. You were there. It's as if I was there. Yes. It's not brain surgery. Go play your game. And I'll be honest with you, this game will come on our side of the ball. We better be physical. If we're physical and we can stand toe-to-toe with them, we got a heck of a chance to do some really good things. If we're not physical, well, we're going to be for a long day now because they are a physical football team.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.